Thanks for joining us for another HabitChat today. Today I'm privileged to be here with Ally Hanten Ebert. Ally is the Executive Director of the Jeremiah Program, and she's here today to tell us a little bit about that and about what their organization does along the lines of what we do, which is to end generational poverty. Ally, thanks for being on HabitChat today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So you and your family are a little newer to Rochester, so welcome to town.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been with Jeremiah for about almost 6 months, but here in Rochester for 2.
Sure.
So we did some remote working for the first 4 months or so of my time with Jeremiah. So happy to be actually physically here.
Yes, yeah. Always good to be home in one place and not two or more places or anything like that.
It's much easier to be a part of an organization that you live in the same state of.
Definitely, that would be a good thing.
Yeah,
so,
most definitely.
Speaking of home, the Jeremiah program is a little bit of a newer program here in Rochester. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Jeremiah's mission is to disrupt generational poverty 2 generations at a time for single moms and their families. And so we do that by offering coaching around college persistence, because we know that one of the key ways out of poverty is through education. And so we offer coaching support around goal setting, goal achievement through college persistence. And we know that for our single moms, there's a lot of barriers that come into play when pursuing your education. You know, oftentimes they're having to make this really hard choice between paying their rent and going to college. And so a couple of the support systems that we offer here in Rochester are housing and on-site childcare. And so here in town we have a 40-unit apartment complex that is 2 and 3 bedroom apartments that are fully furnished, that if families need housing and based on availability, they can move into and pay 30% of their income towards rent. We also partner with Families First to provide our on-site child development center, which is free and accessible to families, which offers both early Head Start and Head Start services to birth through 5. Yeah.
Wow. So you're helping the moms, you're helping the kids, and you're building the family unit.
Right.
Now, after seeing your videos, I feel like some of your program participants are like ours in that when they come through the program at the end, they're a different person than they were at the beginning. Yes, they know some things, but you can just see it in your videos in terms of their confidence and self-esteem and what they'll accept and they won't accept in a relationship. It seems to all change. Do you see that?
Yeah, I think it's remarkable what happens when you remove systematic barriers for people, right? When you kind of take away things that are acting as roadblocks in their life, you really see that blossom, right? Like now their full potential becomes realized. And they're not living kind of one blockade to one blockade, right? Like they're actually able to kind of follow some kind of straightforward path that doesn't constantly get interrupted by life. And so it's pretty remarkable what people are capable of when they're not up against constant roadblocks.
Sure. When they can use their skills and their abilities to get ahead.
When they can actually rely on those strengths that they have to persist and pursue, rather than having to constantly be, up against some additional challenge that makes life challenging.
Sure. They all add up. So what kind of a demand have you seen, and what more do you think there is for this type of program in Rochester that serves single moms and their kids?
Yeah. So back in 2017, Joe Marie Morris, who's the founding executive director, was hired to do a feasibility study to see what would it take to bring Jeremiah Program to Rochester, right? And through her various interviews and kind of calling on the right people, we learned that there is over 22,000 single moms just in the southeast quadrant of Minnesota alone, living in poverty. And so one question that I often get asked is, what about dads, right? Like what about them? And what's important to acknowledge is that single dads obviously need support, right? Like that, we're not denying that at all. But what Jeremiah focuses on is that disproportionate amount of single-head female households who are living in poverty in comparison to their male counterpart. And that's where Jeremiah was founded, over 20 years ago out of Minneapolis. And since then, it's grown to 7 cities across the country, and Rochester is one of them. And so we don't see a lack of need here in Rochester at all. We're excited. So when we first opened in 2017, we were a non-residential based campus, meaning we didn't have our own apartment building. So we were serving families in their home. In 2020, we saw our building be completed, and we moved in 40 families in the first 5-6 months, and quickly realized how much that need is. And so now that we're a year in, right, we just celebrated our year anniversary of our campus being physically open in the middle of a pandemic, and finally get to kind of revisit that off-site model again. So now we'll be serving our moms both on-site in residential services, but then also be working with families who maybe don't need housing. Housing isn't a barrier to them, right, but still would like the coaching support around college persistence and maybe need childcare access, right? So it's exciting to be able to kind of continue to grow our model and serve as many families as we can.
I like that phrase, college persistence. That takes so much. I mean, setting a goal that's so long term and then sticking with it even though you don't see the reward.
Right.
And again, like you say, you have barrier after barrier after barrier, and we see this a lot with our homeowners, is that these problems are interlinked. That you may have a sick child, which turns into a job problem, or you have a car breakdown, and things spiral upon each other. Whereas from families that have more resources, you can compartmentalize the problems because you can just take care of it in one area, and you've got other resources to draw upon to get to work or to get somebody to care for your sick child.
Absolutely. Yeah, we call that the poverty tax, right? Like it's expensive to be poor.
Sadly, it is.
And so, and what you just spoke of is exactly what families living in poverty face every day, is something as minor as like a tire blowing out, right, can disrupt the entire month's expenses when you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Sure.
So there's lots of universal systemic barriers that exist, and that's one of the things that I love about Jeremiah, is that we're focused on helping one single mom at a time, while also having this kind of broader approach and hope to really disseminate and dismantle the very systems that perpetuate poverty to exist in the first place. So it's this kind of full spectrum approach that I really love to be able to be a part of.
There's a lot of work to be done, but it very much needs to be done.
Yeah, and it's a community effort, right? Like,
absolutely.
I think you, as you can attest to, right, Rochester is remarkably supportive of its nonprofits and the support and investing in its community members. Yes,
Rochester partners with their nonprofits. Rochester and our surrounding communities really take a serious invested interest in the organizations that work to make this community a better place, and are willing to support them, and we all provide results to show what we're doing and accept direction through our boards and things like that, but we all come together to make this a stronger place to live and work.
Yeah, I always say we're all better when we're all better, right?
That's a good way to put it. It's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
So you're not just serving the 40 families that live on campus, so you're serving other families with non-residential programs too.
Absolutely.
Broadening your reach even further. All right, so if somebody wants to get involved with the Jeremiah program, what are some ways they can get involved, or things they can do, or how can they help you out?
Yeah, absolutely. Rochester's campus is one of 7 campuses across the country, and we have the largest volunteer base out of all the other 6 campuses combined, which I think just again speaks to Rochester's commitment and investment in its community. COVID has obviously affected that a little bit, but we still really try hard to make sure that we can engage our volunteers. We do something every week called Cook for Kids. It's where volunteer groups can come in and cater a meal to provide for families, drop-off style, where families can come in, because I don't know about you, but cooking every night is like the least favorite of my tasks that I do when I get home, especially when you work all day and you have 2 hungry kids at home, and I'm like, okay, dinner, right?
Right.
So being able to provide a meal one time a week where moms can have the night off from cooking is something that we really enjoy doing. During non-COVID times, that's like a community meal where families get to eat communally and get together and connect, and COVID has obviously taken away the communal aspect of that, but we still get to provide the meal, which is awesome. So we're always looking for groups and community members to come in and provide a meal for a family. And then we have various service projects, whether it's gardening around the building or kind of helping with kind of pop-up events that we have. Those are always super important. We'll be starting up our child care offerings as well during those kind of evening times where moms are maybe studying, or we partner with Family Services Rochester to provide mental health support. And so if a mom has an evening therapy appointment, right, that they need some childcare for, we're hoping to kind of revive that again after post-COVID, whatever that looks like.
Whenever we get there,
Yeah, but I think the other things that we just want to grow our network, right? We want people to know about us and be involved. And so people can do that through various ways of just kind of introducing us to people, right? Like help us growing our network.
Right.
And also, obviously monetary support is always super helpful.
Absolutely. So reach out to you. Lots of ways for individuals, groups, and families to get involved and to know they're helping an organization that's helping build a stronger, fairer, better Rochester area for everybody. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want the community to know or to share while we're together here?
I don't think so. I appreciate you having me. This is great.
You're welcome. It's our privilege. We hope it helps get the word out, and we look forward to working with you and being allies towards solving the same problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this has been HabitChat with Ally Hanten Ebert, Executive Director of the Jeremiah Program. Thanks for joining us on HabitChat today, and we'll see you next time.